Yeah, well, understand I got a lot on my mind, a lot on my chest. That's why.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Indie Breakdown, the show that breaks down your favorite indie comic book characters, power sets, and abilities, and gets them ready for an indie versus matchup. I am very excited. We are on episode 39. Can y'all, like this, long time coming, right? We're almost at the end of season 4. I'm very excited to get to doing the breakdowns, but I'm very excited for all of the interviews that we've had and how, after our brief hiatus, how fast we have gotten through this season. So I'm excited. I have an awesome guest on who actually has a Kickstarter going on right now. So I want you guys to make sure that by the end of this, after you hear about this character and everything this character is able to do, that you make sure that you support this Kickstarter. And let's get this further, way past the echelon of the goals that they have right now. Anyway, who are we talking about? Let's bring him to the stage. He's gonna go ahead and talk about who he is, the character, and his company. Let's get it. What's going on, Chief?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tariq DJ Holmes, aka Art of TDJ, the creator of Atlas. Atlas is a creation of mine that I created a long time. It's been as a kid. As a matter of fact, I think I have the book that inspired me. When I was a kid, I used to make Waterman.
Okay.
This is my childhood superhero, and so with Atlas, it's inspiration that I put on the back burner for a couple of times, but I was able to um, create a dope series and kind of revolutionize what he's about and the world he's living in. And so Atlas is one of the what they call elemental legends. And in his universe, there are 4 powers in the world. There's, of course, water, air, fire, and earth. And so he's among what's called the elemental race. And so with with him as Atlas, in his story, there's these underground organization called the Elites, and they're also part of the elemental race. And in this town, they are hell bent on destroying this hometown because their race is going extinct. And there's been a lot of controversy going on with his city, and so they want to basically overturn the government and reign back on top so that their race could be superior, basically. And while in the chaos of that, Atlas is trying to search for answers for his mother who went missing because she somehow is tied to the Elites, while they're also confiscating all the devices and everything that you see in the story. And so it just becomes a whole chaotic battleground between him and the Elites and the government. And so but that sums up pretty much the series of Atlas.
Okay. So, well, shoot. Okay. Dang, that was like a really good concise. Here's what's happening, what's going down, what you can expect, and no spoilers. This is how it's done, people. It's how you can tell your whole story without spoiling nothing. Now let's start from the top then, man. For the people. So Atlas is the superhero persona, but tell us about the man behind the mask.
So Atlas, his name is Eric Finley. He's a college mechanic student. He studies engineering, and so he was at that time he didn't know his powers manifested until after the incident when his mother went missing. Her mother used to work at a science corp called Titan Labs, and as soon as she went missing that one day, and he's trying to find her, that's when he ran into these elites, or what you call them, these people that are confiscating the building, and that's what kind of manifested his powers, because what he didn't know was that he was born an elemental race, and so because of that, that's what led him to become who he is. So for that period of time since that accident, he's been training and learning learning the ropes of becoming this water being. And so through him he's kind of like in a journey of, per se, just trying to undiscovered clues about the missing of his mother, while also dealing with his father, Towns, who's also working for the police. There's a whole police division going on in his city, figuring out what's going on with the elites, along with taking down Atlas. And so it's just been his journey, just trying to figure out answers as to what happened in his life, and that led him to where he is right now. We just kind of like it's a mystery, and so he has no answers at the moment.
So really quick then, how long has his mom been missing? And I guess he just kind of really got thrown in the deep end here in regards to this whole situation. So how long has she been gone?
I believe it's 6 months from now, based on issue 1. 6 months.
Lord have mercy. So in regards to being in the field, really we're seeing truly the early stages of Atlas's career here. Like he's just now really as we're seeing him battle, which he's doing a fantastic job considering, we're only seeing him in the first couple of months in the game right now.
That's right.
Okay. So you did this earlier, but I want to make sure I've got this right. Is he like would he be he's not considered human necessarily. He's an elemental at this point, or is it just that some humans have the stat or get powers and thus they are given the title of elementals? Can you dive into sort of what he is exactly real quick?
Yes, I believe he's considered an elemental, and what the elementals are, it's people that are born with this gene per se, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's what gives you unique powers based upon the classical elements. And so you know a person's born of fire, person born of water, and of course there's combinations in between. So someone can have powers of electricity, someone can have powers of gas, like poison gas, you know, depending on how the combinations are. So the way it works is that with Atlas, he is actually an elemental. It's that for him, it took a while for him to manifest his powers because for some elementals, it's immediate. When they're born, their powers just manifested. With Atlas, it's kind of like dormant.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, it's like until he gets to like that, I guess at that grieving phase when he's like at his lowest point. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the story it talks about how like in his feelings there's like these emotional things could start to boil inside of him. So once he gets in that current state, then his powers just come to be. So for some people, it's delayed or they have to go through a certain phase in order for it to manifest. But automatically he is an elemental. Now I will say too, you got elementals, and there's some of those who are born with elemental powers, and there's others that are granted elemental powers from other ways. So with
Mm-hmm.
the elites, some of them are not born with elemental powers; they get it from other devices, whether if it's like transfer of power, whether if it's you know you know
Okay.
get it from other pillars. So there's many different methods, but once you have the elemental gene, you're automatically an elemental.
Understood. Okay. Well, then let's dive right in then. So Atlas, 6 months in the game. How strong is our guy? And I want to know both whether we're talking lifting ability and striking ability. What are we working with in regards to Atlas here?
So with Atlas, I would say that with his powers, he's about maybe three times as strong. He's able to lift a couple tons. So with his powers, he's able to lift like certain like cars and trucks. And so I believe his strength he's about like 2 tons or so. His speed, I would say, is a bit more superhuman side. You see in the comic books, he's experienced skiing around, and so
Yeah.
I believe that also kind of ties into making him super efficient on zipping across different points in the world. So he's faster than a normal human being. Um, I will say durability is more. I would say he's somewhat bulletproof because he's water, and so things can just transfer through him.
Mhm.
But he would have to basically concentrate on that because otherwise, if he doesn't concentrate on being all water, some things can go through him. But for the most part, he is somewhat bulletproof. Um, Trying to think what else we got.
What
Speed.
I was saying, to go back to strength really quick. So we got a couple tons lifting wise. Then how hard is he hitting? So because it's seeming like, and not to not to get long winded or anything here. And excuse my voice. I don't know what the heck just happened. My voice went away. But it feels like this character is a bit more grounded, which I'm loving. Right? He's not this.
Mhm.
He's punching entire planets out of existence. You know what I'm saying? So I imagine I'm going to make an assumption here, and obviously you'll give us the actual situation here, but I don't
Mhm.
imagine he's knocking out mountains or anything like that, and maybe not even necessarily destroying a corporate building, right, or skyscrapers or anything like
Mhm.
that. He could do some damage to like single family homes and 18-wheelers and the like. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say given the experience he had, he's not that strong to the point where he can just he can just annihilate a building or two. But he is strong enough to where he can just basically um, tear down the street or so. So
Okay.
given the experience, like I said, it's been like 6 months as his mother. So I imagine that with that type of experience, he's able to confiscate like a if it was like a crime scene and they're like in a building, he can just punch through walls and create destruction along the way and just basically putting people down. And he has very explosive punches along the way. And
Okay.
so but yeah, he's about that in terms of that strength. He's about that powerful.
So what I'm looking forward to, and I know we'll get to this in a second here. Obviously the power specifically is what I know is gonna truly set him apart, right? The hydrokinesis, the cryokinesis, and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to talking more about the versatility that I know we've seen in the comics already. But before we get there, you brought up speed a second ago. We did say like 2 times as fast. So my assumption is kind of like 2 times faster than like an athlete, maybe. At this point. So maybe like 2 times faster
Right.
than a Usain Bolt type situation.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and so I keep looking to the side because I am taking notes for future reference for that breakdown video here.
Yeah.
Let's talk intelligence. I know we talked durability a second ago, but before we get to that, I want to talk intelligence. Obviously, as an engineering student, he's no slouch, but I am curious to know, really, are we talking about just kind of just collegiate level, or do we have the possibility of him being closer to maybe a genius level?
I would say somewhat in the middle, but
Okay.
maybe a slight edge because the way I think for him with intelligence, and you can see with his powers, like he's able to, create inventions with his powers. Like in the comics, you see him, he's able to create like that blaster he had in the first issue.
Mhm.
He's able to convert into the like ice and create little weapons out of that. So I would say that given that type of intelligence and be able to just come up with other ways to utilize his powers, I would say on a slight more than average as intelligence. I wouldn't say on a genius level per se,
Okay.
but I would say just maybe like a 6.
Okay, I can dig that.
Mhm.
And I'm also gonna put a side note here because again, like you said, like in the midst of battle, you're when he's fighting against the elites, I do believe that's who he's fighting in the first issue. Like there's a high battle IQ kind of being shown there. Because I imagine
Yes.
the elites have gotten around at this point to have a name for themselves. They've gotten around a bit. So this kid 6 months in the game is
Hmm.
giving them a run for their money. His battle IQ is kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I definitely side note that really quick. So back to that durability. He's not necessarily he's built like a regular person, but with the
Mhm.
versatility and utilization of his powers, him changing form will give him a bulletproof status. But I am curious with cryokinesis, couldn't ice form or a potential ice form that he has be bulletproof, or is he about as durable as ice proper?
Yes, ice could be another form of have a bulletproof suit.
Okay, ice form bulletproof. Okay, let's talk. And again, we did just talk about high battle IQ a second ago, but let's talk combat skill here. Does he have any prior training, or again, are we just talking about? I hate to say it this way, run of the mill college kid, right? You might have done something in your younger age, right? Not
Yeah.
necessarily trained specifically to be a unit, right? But like, hey, I did karate when
Mhm.
I was a kid, so I know how to block, punch, kick. You know what I'm saying? Or is there more than meets the eye here?
Yes, it's funny because I actually did some um, research on his character when I was working on the next issue. So with him is I believe he has 2 fighting styles. So he does like in the first issue he does a lot of boxing,
Okay,
kickboxing per se. There's a
okay,
little bit of Muay Thai in the series, a
okay,
little bit of Taekwondo. So a lot of the explosive kicks and a lot of explosive punches. That's from him stemming from learning Muay Thai and Taekwondo. And I don't know if in the next issue, but that that 6 month period also gave him. I think before prior to the 6 month, he learned some of that from from other people. So I think one of his friends was one of his inspiration for learning some of the fight styles. It wasn't until after his mother passed away, supposedly passed away, is when he kind of utilizes it. I need this to punch through my enemies. And so,
okay, okay. So now let me ask this because now, um, learn from a friend, right? Kind of just passively and stuff. How long would you say, kind of collectively? Is this also maybe a couple months, kind of sporadically over the years, or just something that's like truly fresh over the last couple months? His friends was kind of showing him how to these different styles.
I would say a few years with
Mhm.
that experience.
Years. Okay. Let's so the next two, I think we'll probably get past quick, but we're really looking forward to the power section. Now, I have energy projection here, so I want to know, and this might be this might be interchangeable with just powers in general, right? But
Mm.
outside of maybe utilizing these water based abilities, is there any other type of energy that he's emitting off of him that he's able to utilize or control or manipulate or anything? Just out of curiosity, but if not, let's start talking about some of those extra abilities he does have.
Good question. I don't think I know per se because I think with Atlas, the main two his main two abilities as of right now in the series is shooting, water, I think, and then of course the eyes as well. I don't think he has another extra energy ability per se.
Okay. So then let's get into it then. Water abilities. Let's talk about all the ways that we've seen in the comics so far, right? Again, we've
Mhm.
said hydrokinesis, we've said cryokinesis. What are some things that we see in the book, and how strong are these abilities that we see in the current canon right now?
Okay. So with what Atlas, we know that he is a water-based superhero, and so of course, water has three states of properties. There's water, ice, and gas.
Mhm.
Right now in the series, he can only master two of them, which is ice and water. So with water, obviously he can manipulate into water, and then with water, he can basically absorb if he needs like extra ability with the water. He can absorb the water, which
Mhm.
increases mass, increases strength, speed, and it gives them just an extra points to what he needs to be in terms of being strong or in terms of being powerful.
Mhm.
And so along with that, he can also manipulate it into creating into whatever weaponry he wants. So like in instance, in the first issue, he can convert his hand into like a cannon, and he could just shoot water, kind of like a kind of like a big hose.
Yeah.
So that gives a lot of powers. And then yeah, I think that's obviously for the first issue, and then I think also in the first issue we tap into a little bit of the ice, and I think in the remastered vision edition we see him use ice abilities just a little more, where he can conjure ice in the ground and then literally just create little spikes up on the ground, and so ice, or they call it cryokinesis. So
Mhm.
he's able to convert himself and basically turn himself into ice. He has the ability to turn his body into frozen solid.
Mhm.
And with that, he can construct anything, shields, walls. And that's if he's in a defense mode. And of course, he's able to create like spears and everything. I think I have somewhere in the book, probably not in issues 1 or 2, but I think the next few issues, he's able to extend parts of his body and create
Mhm.
like little bit like huge icicles, and he's throwing them at his enemies. And so he's able to kind of yeah, be able to manipulate his body into whatever he wants to do. But again, it's between water and ice.
That's so good. And no, not gonna ask that because that was spoiler territory. Because I was like, hey, well, is he gonna get to the point where he is able to control the gas like a gaseous state and stuff like that? We'll stick to what's in the books. I apologize. Let's talk
No
agility.
problem.
And we're gonna revisit the powers because I want to know about his suit as well. How well is he able to dodge? Right, like is his sense of perception and reaction. Would he? My favorite examples to give is if somebody fires a gun at him, would he be able to trajectory dodge, or is he so agile that he would be able to just flat out? It doesn't matter where you're shooting, I will be able to dodge through this. Where does he stand in
Mm.
that kind of scale?
I would say the latter part, where he's a bit flexible enough where he can kind of perceive
Mhm,
what's coming at him, but it's not like like he's so fast that he could just dodge it. It's more like I guess in a way. not really a spider sense like with Spider-Man, but just like like I guess because of experience, he's able to like kind of sort of dodge out of the way, with his
Hmm.
abilities. And so I would say more on the above average side that he's able to do that. Um, but yeah, I think it's the latter part.
Okay. Well, then let's get back to these powers, right? The suit. Is he also creating this suit with his abilities, or is this kind of a special material that's kind of coming into play here with the suit that he wears when he's out doing his hero stuff?
Yeah, so he's actually creating that suit. That suit is made of his own body. So and I think he took the inspiration for obviously when he's fighting these the elites and so forth, he creates like this kind of like this body where he's like kind of like a what's the term? Kind of like a trying to think of a good term, but kind of like a not really a superhero, but more like a vigilante side. So you can see
Yeah.
the face is a mask, and then of
Mhm.
course his body is like a stitches of himself. And I gave him the a hood just to kind of give him the look because he's an urban kid. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, that's all part of his body. So he conjures this body so that he can be able to do work on his abilities because I don't think he can work on his abilities in his normal human side.
I see. Okay. So then let me ask this. Is it I want to know if there's like a level of concentration that he always has to have, right, to maintain the suit, to maintain, the weaponry and stuff that he's utilizing and stuff like that. And is there? Let me just stop there because the next portion of that question is we'll get to that. But yeah, is there a consistent level of concentration that happens, or is he at like a second nature kind of state with this now, like breathing, if you would?
Yes, yeah. There's a level of concentration with that.
Consistently concentrate, and obviously, what we see in the book is it doesn't seem like it's anything that's strenuous, right?
Right.
But of course, still just curious about stuff like that.
Hmm.
Think about, and is there and again, in issue 1 and 2, we're not really seeing that, but kind of behind the scenes knowledge here, or meta knowledge maybe. Is there a chance that maybe he could lose control, right? Lose his concentration, or he gets into like a balls to wall situation and he lets off more energy, or more of his hydro or cryokinesis? Yeah.
Yes, I would say that works for all my characters. There's like a point where you can just get out of control.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, with Atlas, he only masters like two abilities, and so if he just went out of control or just lost himself, he could basically tap into any other powers that any water or ice could do, or maybe gas as well. So, but yeah, I believe that again, it goes with all my characters because I think I set it up in a way where if there were that kind of stakes where they get to that point where they're like on that verge of like, oh shoot, I can't control my powers or something's happening and it's striking, that applies to everybody. So with Atlas, definitely.
So, okay, let me ask this because now this kind of has me curious about destructive capability again. I'm curious. So again, would he be able to if he were able to use his powers? Let's say he's in a intense battle with the elites, right? They're in a 8-foot building. You know what I'm saying? Office situation, right? Mid city.
Mhm.
Could he flood out that whole building with ease without being in a stressed, lost control state? Does he have that much control to where he would completely flood that building and overtake that battle?
Absolutely.
Okay. And now to scale it up here, how far can he take that before we start talking about those, ridiculous scenarios or what have you? But what's kind of how far can he stretch his powers currently in this era of issue 1 and 2?
So if you were to lock him in like I said, an office building, he could
Mhm.
he could basically flood that entire floor. And with the way his powers is, he can make like he can mass produce himself and kind of like
Oh,
supersede his powers. And so if he gets to that point where he just rages and goes insane, that super spikes his ability. So he can essentially kill everybody, in that whole entire floor.
okay. So floor to floor, and did I hear that right? Is you say he could like clone himself pretty much with water?
Yeah, he can grow big, mass produce. Yeah.
Between size, this is good stuff. Okay, so in season 2, we interviewed Prince, and he had his character, Keone in there, the Ice Queen, right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking about that as there's an idea. So, those of you guys that might be watching, when this drops and stuff like that, you may remember this. But during our season 2 creator clash, there was an idea to bring each season, whoever can be a representative or several people to represent their particular seasons on, and kind of have a versus amongst the seasons, right? And so in a hypothetical situation, right, we've got Quixote, the Ice Queen, versus Atlas, right? Would he be able to utilize the ice that she is also controlling? Would he be able to manipulate someone else's water and ice techniques?
I would say yes, because
Okay.
the fact that he could absorb any type of liquids, water, it could be, whatever uh, liquid properties it is. He's able to absorb it and use it for his own benefit.
Okay. These techniques. So, okay. So, oh gosh, this is great. So, again, thinking about fun what ifs and stuff like that, right? You have your avatars, you have your Naruto's and stuff like that. So they're using water, dragon juices, they're using all this. Now I know that he himself has a limit to what he is able to produce and control from his own being. But let's say
Mhm.
they're all thrown in some crazy, Mugen style game, this situation. You got the water benders firing at him. You got, people from the Hidden Mist village firing water at him.
Right.
Would he be able, large scale? And again, this is just fun right now because again, has this happened in issue 1 and 2? No, but just try to figure out kind of more of the versatility of his abilities.
Yeah.
Would he be able to handle all of that coming towards him?
Absolutely.
Okay, because it's
Oh yeah.
not. He's not exerting the energy. He's just using what's already been. Okay.
Correct. And just to point that out too, even when he exerts his energy, if he gets to a point where he can't, exert anymore, he can just absorb somebody else's powers and use that for his own benefit.
Okay. So I'm gonna almost shorthand these notes here. There's no strain in manipulating water from other sources. Kind of like I've already used Naruto as an example. So like Gar with the sand, he's not exerting anything for that defensive shield. But if you're talking about making a sand tsunami, like now you're seeing him actually, strain a
Yes.
little bit. So essentially
Correct.
that. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Water that's already been produced. Oh, this is good. Okay. I think I said this during our interview with Emeka from Vibrant Story from that interview. And
Mhm.
I've got to give y'all kudos because I think Vibrant and Atlas are some of my favorite superhero designs like right now. So like I was really excited when we did the indie mutants or indie X-Men situation. Y'all were both
Yeah.
on camera. I'm just like, these are superheroes. You know what I'm saying? Like you look back at some of the comics and you're like, there's certain outfits, there's certain uniforms, man, and like these fit the bill. And they're so like it's such a cool design and it's a simple
Mhm.
design, and you can see what can change, what could be upgraded, but still stay true to the very base form of each of those characters. So anyway,
Right.
kudos on the design. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me okay. I'm excited because I know I already have the books with the variant covers and all that other good stuff. So like I feel like I'm already prepared for your breakdown. This gave me the missing little portions and tidbits for the rest of my video, honestly. But let me see. The gentleman's name escapes me. The guy that runs the elites.
Magnitude.
Magnitude. What can we? I'm trying to think how I want to ask this. Because the elites in themselves are a very versatile group themselves, right? And I love the fact that they feel like a almost like your universe's version, like the Sinister Six for him. Like if they're all banded together against this guy, it's one of those like I know he can take them,
Right.
but all together, with Magnitude there especially, and we know. Well, I'm not going to spoil that, but I know at the end, I think it was issue 1. With the help of that device, they put in some work, right? So and this kind of goes back to durability that I want to talk about. Say Atlas was like at ground zero of one of the elite's missions, if you would. Would he be able to survive an attack of that magnitude? Not to be funny, right? But would he be able to? would he be durable enough to withstand that? In this is a 3-parter here in base state, in water state, or in ice state?
That's a good question. Yeah, depending on the players you have for the elites. Because like I think in the series we see a couple of them that are very versatile. So we got one with electric, one with gravity powers and so forth. So just vice versa, just randomly, if it was just any one of those people or just any other players, I would say he would barely survive. Because it depends on how smart the other players are, if they know exactly how to get to him. But I would say, Atlas could probably stand on his 2 feet. Maybe, probably in his water state, in his electric state, or I'm sorry, in his ice state. I would say, I would say he would, but barely. It would. Yeah, like it would take almost all of him just to tear down some of those elites.
So the ones that we saw him face, like it was like, hey, these are the ones that you're kind of skirting past. But if the rest of the crew pops up, you might be in trouble. Okay, so a 1v1 versus Magnitude is going. It might it's going to be rough for him at this point.
Oh yes.
Okay. And see, God, I love that. I love that. Like again, we see the character again, to do my best to avoid all forms of spoilers and stuff like that. But we see how well he moves in these first couple of issues. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing 3 and 4. But like he moves so well, and I like this introduction. Like he feels like he knows what he's doing, right? But really, he's really flying by the seat of his pants here. But again, there's a high battle IQ. He knows how to think on his feet. He's very imaginative with his abilities and how to do it. And I feel like that also plays a role in why he's able to overcome the enemies that he does overcome, because they're just like, yo, like somebody stop this guy, right? He's so unpredictable almost to the outside looking in, but he's definitely very well thought out. Dang, okay. I think I have everything I personally need. I've gone through all the stats. We've talked abilities. I want to make sure we didn't miss anything on abilities. Cryokinesis, hydrokinesis. That's and able to manipulate other things, able to produce his own water and ice, so on and so forth. Use it as an armor, use it as projectiles, shapeshift.
Yeah.
I'm not missing anything in that. Or change his personal size and clone himself. Or mass produce himself, rather.
Mass produce. Yeah, I think that sums up pretty much his power set.
Okay, I'm excited. Okay, so here is what's next. I guess we're about to close out. Hold on, manipulate. Boom, himself. Okay. Boom. Okay. So, as we're about to close out here, let the people know where, of course, they could follow you, support you, and a little bit about what they can expect in the Kickstarter that's getting ready to come to a close here.
All right. So, guys, you guys can find me on all social media platforms. It's you just look up my name, Art of TDJ. I'm like I said, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I think I'm still on Twitter. But whatever platforms you got, just make sure you find Art of TDJ. I'm sure I'm there somewhere. And guys, I'm also, as I said, I have a Kickstarter running for the next 2 issues of Atlas 3 and 4. For those that have read Atlas 1 and 2, this is just the beginning. You're just seeing the players kind of, starting off. 3 and 4 is where it's going to kick off. It's literally a clash between all the characters we have introduced. And so get ready for, I believe it's like 60 pages of just nonstop action, some surprises, some undisclosed information. Just be on the lookout. So check us out on the Kickstarter. Just look up on the Kickstarter Atlas Edge of Rebellion number 3 and 4. It's called Group Therapy. Check it out. I think at this point we are 2 weeks away, and we're more than halfway there. So help us out. But be sure to read this, check out the issues, and check out the characters. All the information is all in the Kickstarter page. And if you guys want to see any more books from TDJ Comics, just go to tdjcomics.com, as I'm right there. And you can see all different series and all characters, even as well, lay out all the characters in their power sets. So check it out.
What I want to do, because there's 2 weeks left in the Kickstarter. So normally we have these episodes launch on Mondays, right? And so technically next Monday would have been when this went live, but I think we have a little bit more of a bit of an urgency here. We want to make sure that anybody that's watching this and hears about the character and wants to pick it up does that. So what I'll try to do is get this out tomorrow at the latest. Have it premiere on YouTube, stuff like that, and then have that at the very least another avenue for people to go and pick this stuff up. So that's my goal then. I want to have that out for you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
so
let's do that. Yeah. I treat these as lives. So it's like so tidbit behind the scenes about me. I suck at scripted content completely. Completely. It's just, hey, if we messed up live, then we messed up live. It's done.
Right.
So really it's just about downloading this and getting the thumbnails together, and we can keep it pushing.
Right.
But yeah, we'll try to get it tomorrow so that we can get more eyes on it. And for the people at home, yeah, since we're closing out here, for the people at home, if you've only watched the podcast or the interview section, stuff like that, the Indie Breakdown has expanded tremendously, right? We have a group, right? We have a page, we have a group, we have a website, all the nine, but head on over to the group. You get to meet creators like Tariq here, man. You get to meet him, you get to meet Thad, who's got Solar, and so many other amazing creators there. So many. I think now the group is sitting at 6.7K now. Massive. There's artists, writers, publishers, everybody is in there. Whether you need advice on something, you just want to share your stuff, get your stuff in front of people, work with artists, work with writers. I know occasionally we post it, but Lonzo's definitely more consistent. There's coaching sessions that he's offering. Like, there's so many different, whatever you're looking for, it's in there. Random people that I didn't realize were in there before. Now there's Tori Hopkins, in case y'all don't know, is one of the original character designers for Static. He's in the group. Kevin Graveau, just randomly, he's in the group. Like, there's people that you know who have done things that you're familiar with in this group. Join the group. But one of the things I do want to bring up, since we're talking Kickstarters, is we have the $1 challenge. There's 6.7K people in there. Everybody give $1 to a Kickstarter, and we usually only show like 10 Kickstarters at a time. That's $10. That's 10 people's dreams that you are bringing to life. There's passions that they're able to get through. And most of the Kickstarters that we've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anybody's Kickstarter has asked for more than $5,000 to $6,000. So even just within the group, and this is why we're trying to pivot towards a kind of a community of supporting one another. With our group alone has the power to propel everybody's Kickstarters to success. And that's not even including the people that like, I do want the book. This is just, hey, I want to support you. I want to see you win. Here's $1 minimum, right? Hopefully they come to the Kickstarter and they say, actually, let me go ahead and at least get the digital. Or I want the, let me get one of these covers or something. You know what I'm saying? Bring them over the line. So head on over there. That's it. That's it. It's $1.
Just $1.
That's it. $1. And if you do $1, the other thing that we're going to ask of you is share it. Share it with everybody. So anyway, with all that being said, if you guys want to see more of that, of course, you could join the group. Or easier, and all that stuff will be down below. But even easier, if you want to pull it up as we're finishing our closeout here, you head to indiebreakdown.com and click on the support tab. You'll see the whole list completed with links to everybody's individual Kickstarter pages. We've also partnered with 615 Comics. Malcolm is a fantastic guy. He's got an indie calendar where you can see all the stuff that's upcoming, whether it's Kickstarters, people's appearances at various conventions and all this other stuff. We're seeing a lot of, and I don't mean to ramble here at the end here, but we're seeing a lot of discourse and, oh man, I want to see creators talk about indie. I want to see this. Well, you know what? Here we are. We do know why people are right. We do know why that it's difficult to get traction talking about indie. People started off with mainstream, and this is people's livelihood. So yeah, it's a harder pivot. We're starting with the harder choice here. We're just going to focus indie here and see if we can build that up, right? And then we'll see what happens with the rest. Not taking anything away from any of the other guys out there. We understand that struggle, but we're here. Let's make this thing happen together. So let's keep it pushing. Tariq, man, thank you. I know this was a long time coming. I think we talked in the past. I'm so happy to have had you on, man. This is fantastic.
It's been a pleasure. So I'm glad to be a part of this journey. And let's have these characters at a battle.
Okay. Well, like you said, hey, thank y'all for helping us redefine power scaling in the indie world. Look forward to the next breakdown, and of course, the next indie versus matchup. And then we'll see you guys next time.
Bitch, I'm proud.